The year was 1945 and World War II had come to an end just months prior. On December, 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers from the U.S. Navy's Fighter Squadron 7 were flying off the coast of Florida. They were doing nothing more than practicing what would be simple maneuvers for any experienced pilot. But that day, things went terribly wrong, and those 5 planes with 14 men aboard would disappear forever. Their vanishing would spark the greatest mystery in aviation history, and lead many to fear the seemingly unfathomable. Here's the terrifying true story of Flight 19. At around 1:30 p.m., Lieutenant Junior Grade Charles Taylor, commander of the flight, led his 4 wingmen into the clouds. It was the perfect day for flying. The sun was shining, the skies were blue, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. There was nothing to suggest that this would be the last time anyone ever saw these planes or their pilots. Taylor's job was to lead his squadron through a series of increasingly tighter turns until they all regrouped at a pre-established point. Everything appeared to be going according to plan, and there were no problems reported until the squadron split up for their individual return trips to base. That was the last time anyone heard from Flight 19. After hours of waiting and with no sign of the planes returning, the Navy began searching the area where they should have been. But no wreckage was ever found. No life rafts were seen. And after 3 days of searching, the rescue mission was called off. But this was only the beginning of the mystery. On December, 2 days after the initial disappearance, a Navy search plane was sent out to look for Flight 19. It left the base with 13 men aboard and was equipped with advanced radar for locating the missing aircraft. But this plane, too, simply vanished without a trace, adding another layer of confusion and tragedy to the case. The fact that 2 planes could go missing in such good weather was unprecedented, and it raised questions about whether there was some sort of malevolent force at play. As the Navy conducted its investigation into the disappearance of Flight 19, officials tried their best to explain the incident in terms of mechanical failure or human error. These are usually the go-to explanations for aviation disasters, and the officials did everything they could to point to these factors. As Taylor and his men had completed many successful practice runs like this before. They were experienced pilots, and the planes were well-maintained and modern. Weather was not an issue either, with the official investigation stating that visibility was so good that if any of the planes had gone down, rescuers would have easily spotted any debris from miles away. So why did these planes disappear? The official explanation given by the Navy was that the pilots became disoriented while performing the complicated maneuvers and flew into the ocean. This theory seemed plausible as no wreckage was ever recovered and no distress signals had been sent out. However, there were several glaring holes in this story. If the pilots did become disoriented, why did none of them send out a distress call? Pilots are trained to do this in the event of an emergency, and none of them even attempted to radio for help. Additionally, even if they had become disoriented, it was unlikely that all 5 planes would have flown into the ocean at the same time. Another theory suggested that the pilots may have intentionally crashed their planes due to some unknown psychological issues. However, this is also highly unlikely as there was no indication that any of the pilots were mentally unstable. Another possibility raised by the Navy was that the pilots committed mass suicide, although no evidence supports this. What we know for sure is that none of these pilots were ever seen alive again. The fact that both the search plane and Flight 19 vanished without a trace made the case all the more mysterious. Could there be a dark secret lurking beneath the waves? In the years since Flight 19 disappeared, many theories have emerged attempting to explain their vanishing. Some believe that the pilots may have been victims of alien abduction, while others claim that they stumbled upon a secret military experiment or a portal to another dimension. While these theories may seem far-fetched, they offer an intriguing possibility, especially considering the bizarre circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Flight 19. One of the most popular theories suggests that the pilots of Flight 19 entered the Bermuda Triangle and were met with unexplainable phenomena such as magnetic anomalies, time warps, and sudden storms. The Bermuda Triangle has long been associated with mysterious disappearances, and some believe that Flight 19 may have fallen victim to its supposed powers. However, despite numerous investigations, no concrete evidence has been found to support this theory or prove that the Bermuda Triangle even exists. Despite the lack of evidence, the theory persists and continues to capture the imagination of many. The idea that Flight 19 may have been abducted by aliens is another popular theory that has emerged over the years. Proponents of this theory suggest that the pilots may have been taken by extraterrestrials for study or experimentation, leaving behind no trace of their existence. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, and it remains firmly in the realm of science fiction. Some believe that the pilots may have accidentally stumbled upon a secret military experiment that went awry, leading to their disappearance. Others claim that they may have encountered a portal to another dimension or time warp that transported them elsewhere. However, these theories are highly speculative, and there is no evidence to support them. One lesser-known theory suggests that the pilots of Flight 19 may have been victims of a Soviet plot to infiltrate American airspace. During the Cold War, tensions were high between the United States and the Soviet Union, and it was not unheard of for Soviet spies to infiltrate American military bases. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, and it remains a fringe idea among conspiracy theorists. In recent years, some have suggested that the disappearance of Flight 19 may have been the result of a cover-up by the U.S. government. They theorized that the government may have orchestrated the disappearance of the pilots to hide top-secret technology or experiments that were being conducted on board the planes. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, and it remains a conspiracy theory. While the truth behind the disappearance of Flight 19 remains elusive, one thing is certain: the incident has captured the imagination of people around the world. The idea that a group of experienced pilots and a search plane could vanish without a trace is both terrifying and mysterious. As the years go by, the chances of recovering the lost wreckage of Flight 19 and finding answers to their disappearance become slimmer. The U.S. Navy's Bureau of Medicine and Surgery officially closed the case on June 1, 1946, declaring the 14 men aboard the 5 Avengers and the 13 crew members of the seaplane were dead. But the families of the missing men never gave up hope. Decades after the tragedy, the families of the missing men continued to search for answers, hoping to one day learn what happened to their loved ones. They pored over the scant evidence available, searching for clues that could shed light on the disappearance of Flight 19. Despite their efforts, the truth behind the tragedy remains elusive, leaving the families with more questions than answers. In recent years, advancements in technology have allowed investigators to re-examine the case of Flight 19 with new eyes. New imaging techniques and forensic analysis have been used to analyze the limited physical evidence that has surfaced, hoping to uncover new clues about the disappearance. However, despite these efforts, the truth behind the tragedy remains elusive. While the true fate of Flight 19 may never be known, the legacy of the brave men who vanished that day lives on. Their sacrifice and bravery have been honored by the families who have kept their memories alive for generations. The story of Flight 19 serves as a reminder of the power of the human spirit in the face of tragedy, and the importance of never giving up hope in the search for the truth. The disappearance of Flight 19 remains one of the most baffling mysteries in aviation history. Despite countless theories and investigations, the truth behind the tragedy remains elusive. While it may never be fully understood, the legacy of Flight 19 and the brave men who vanished that day will continue to inspire awe and wonder for generations to come. Now, it's time to make your voice heard. What do you think happened to Flight 19? Alien abduction, secret military experiment, or simply lost at sea? Share your thoughts below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for more thrilling mysteries. Thanks for watching.